Now, Sandokan, even today, remains the most successful series in the history of European television. It's not some long-running series that became enormously popular over time. It's just 6 hours long. Actually, I've just completed the Hindi dubbing of the series, and very soon you'll be able to get it on DVD. And I wanted to do that because I wanted those that were interested to at least see the legacy that I have and to see what was the film, the television series that made me such a big name in Europe. But you know, it's never, in hindsight, it's very clear that I should have taken this. But at the time, opportunity doesn't always come to you with a brass band in front of it. Opportunity can be a remark you overhear at a bus station and changes your life. It's the ability to recognize opportunity that makes all the difference. So, you know, Sandokan was actually quite famous in Europe because the books of Sandokan were written by Emilio Salgari, who was Italy's most famous adventure writer. And many European countries' children had grown up reading his books on Sandokan. But there was no English translation of it. So for me, Sandokan, Emilio Salgari, all these were just names. But I realized that this was a European television series. Fortunately, I was able to act in English at the time. Later, I learned Italian, that's another story. But that was a risk I was taking because in starting to do that, A, 6 months of your time gets taken up. B, there's no success, guarantee it'll be a success. C, the industry begins to say, oh, te bahar chala gaya ji, wapas nahi aa raha, ki fark panda hai. Kisi aur nu labo. You know, this is the whole attitude of the industry. So all these NRI friends of mine that come visiting Bombay for 6 months and wanting to become stars, I tell them, first thing is the industry needs to know you're here. Shootings can get cancelled, postponed, they want to know you live here. So they're mortgaging their houses to finance their films, and you decide to take off on a holiday or go back to your country, they're sunk. So it's important to be here. And the point I was making was that it was taking that chance. So when you come to certain, you know, most of our lives, we go down a certain set of tracks on autopilot. 4 or 5 years you're on autopilot, then suddenly a moment comes, there's a fork in the tracks, there's a junction, there's all kinds of roads you can take. And when you come to those junctions, those what I call power points, it's very important to choose for the right reasons. Not the most attractive offer, but for the right reasons. Now, even not choosing is a decision. You just take the line of least resistance and you carry on. But that again is a decision. It's a decision you've taken. So, be aware that this autopilot is questioned really deeply every 4, 5, 6 years. And you have chances to change the course of your life. And don't minimize that moment. Realize it's your point of power that could take you to another level of existence, of creativity, of operating as creative professionals. Recognize those opportunities. You know, what was it about Sandokan that made it so successful? You know, that's in a sense the strangest thing of all. Because it was about an Asian hero. That's why I got the role. It was about this Malaysian prince turned pirate who fights the British. This is about the 1850s. Who's fighting the British for the freedom of his people. And while doing that, he falls in love with an English girl and complicates his life immensely even further. And how these twin tracks of his love for this English girl and the defeat of the English, or at least survival against the English, are contained is the story of Sandokan. It is really a story of people's desire to live free, a desire not to be dominated, that love is the most overriding message. that love can overcome anything, all those basic fundamental things that make a lot of films successful, was in Sandokan. There's a number of films one can talk about, but really what I haven't touched on is my relationship with theatre. Theatre is something I've always loved, from my college days, from my school days. And at a certain point when I decided in Hollywood that enough is enough, this happened twice actually. Once when I was shooting for Magnum PI with Tom Selleck, and I got a call from Rakesh Roshan saying, I want you to come and do a film called Khoon Bhari Maang. So he and I fought about money. I knew him from before. We'd done a film together many years before. But Gudu, of course, is notoriously tight-fisted with money. So he and I fought about money. He said, Kabir, if you don't do this film, I'll have to cancel the project. I said, listen, you make me feel very important, but why is that? So he said, because my story is that of a hero who becomes a villain. So no hero wants to play it because he becomes a villain. And if I cast a villain from the beginning, you know he's a villain. So I know somebody who's got absolutely neutral image. And you can do that. So anyway, is it just 2 months shooting? So of course I came for 2 months shooting. That 2 months, this is 2 months. And that extended, it became 4 months, it became 6 months. Then people said, aap yahi hain, to ye bhi picture kar lijiye na. Net result was I came for one film and I left 4 years later having done 12 films. So then I went back. Then again I faced what I call the Hollywood dead end. I said, this is not the thing. I have to go back to England and Europe and do things that I like more. You know, what I discovered as an actor, this may not apply to you, but as an actor, it's certainly true. No foreign actor in Hollywood has made it by entering Hollywood directly and making his way up the top. Every foreign actor who has become a star in Hollywood always did something in their own country through some films that became internationally known, and therefore they got their entry into Hollywood. This is true of Ben Kingsley doing Gandhi. This is true of Raul Julia. This is true of Sonia Braga. It's true of Antonio Banderas. It's true of Rutger Hauer. It's true of every foreign actor you can think of. All of them did something in their own country that somehow caught the fancy of the festival market or the American market, and then went on to become stars in America. This is true of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan action films. This is true of Roberto Benigni, who made his name in Life is Beautiful. All these people that are now names in Hollywood all did it through films that came from their own countries to start with. But it took me a long time to figure that out. So I'm passing on the benefit of this knowledge. See, theatre, I'd always done, starting with Tughlaq. Then I did a play called Gidhade with Anik Padamsee, also called The Vultures, Vijay Tendulkar's play. Then I did Othello, Shakespeare's Othello, playing Othello. That was in the early 90s. These are things that give me enormous satisfaction. And theatre is what renews my contact with the whole world of what performing is about. Because I like the dramatic tension that theatre demands. In theatre you can't just chat, you say something, 3 seconds later I say something, 2 seconds later he says something. In theatre, audience will go to sleep. You have to keep your cues coming fast, unless there's a very deliberate pause. In film, you can edit it out, but not in theatre. So the basics of characterization, movement, etc., all those things come from theatre training. But at that time, I was shooting the Bond film, and the Bond film was supposed to finish by Christmas, and this was supposed to start on January the 10th. But the Bond film got delayed. And then with all the Christmas holidays and everything that kicked in, they were unable to finish before January 10th. And the other producer could not wait. I went to him, I said, Jeffrey, producer called Jeffrey Reeve, I said, Jeff, can't you please adjust me a little later? He says, Kabir, we are beginning the whole project with a procession that is led by you, master of the horse. Elephants have been walking for 2 months to reach Jaipur by this date. Everything has been arranged with the army, with everything we cannot postpone. So I lost that role. But many years later, I played the same role in the theatre, in the West End of London, in the Far Pavilion. So it's funny how things come back to you in different ways.